Picture this with me. You flip through the rulebook of your TTRPG of choice, and you see something pretty creepy looking. Maybe a shadow demon, a gibbering mouther, or a Mordron, and you spring this terrifying foe on your players. And no one cares. It's the spooky season, it's here right now, and no one is spooked in your game. Well, I'm here to help you change that. Hello viewer, and welcome to Dungeon Bits, and the first of 4 videos for your October. So make sure you stick around, but for today, I want to help you make your games scary, as I have succeeded doing so in the past. But let me just put this truth up front before we start. This task is not easy. Some people are hard to scare, and TTRPGs are a hard medium to scare people with. But it can be done. It just takes some thought from you, so let's jump straight into this with Step 1. Immersion. This really is the first step to consider. If your players are distracted or they just don't want to come along with you and be immersed, this isn't gonna work. So make sure that you express that you want to have an immersive table, and that what you want won't work if people don't work with you and get immersed. And if they don't want an immersive session, do you want this group? Step 2. Atmosphere. Horror movies that aren't directly scary can still be classified as horror by the horrific atmosphere, but we're hoping to scare the players. So what do I mean by atmosphere? Once the players want to be immersed, now you've got to make the water actually murky and creepy. The environment around your players is a big factor in this. If you're around a friend's table in the house, maybe dim the lights and put on some creepy atmospheric music. If you're playing online, perfect! Your players should be alone in their room with low lighting, with some creepy music optional. And if you're like me and you play at game stores, players will get taken out the atmosphere when they hear some sweaty amoeba in the back shouting over Magic the Gathering rules. Remove distractions. Have them be immersed. Then drench them in creepy music and atmospheric descriptions from you as the GM. Also, I mentioned playing online. Well, let me tell you, one of the worst things for breaking immersion is when you have to make your players sit and wait and set up the map and the minis because the virtual tabletop you're using is just super complex. Like, imagine this.
I'm afraid your time is up, friend. You owe me that tongue of yours.
No, please, just a little bit more time, just a little bit more time. Wait a sec, wait, one sec. Okay. Yeah, so... Right, how do I... Dude, are we gonna play? Yeah, one sec. And listen, you can trust Uncle Ellis when I say I've used other VTTs in the past, and amongst other problems, they were just too complex. They required too much work. But that was when I found TABYLTOP. TABYLTOP is a fantastic VTT based on the desire to make running the game incredibly simple. And let me tell you, the marvellous gnomes behind the scenes of this operation have let me have a look in, and let me tell you, this program is something special. If you want a VTT with all of the features of existing VTTs, with all of the crap taken out, then replaced with a crazy list of amazing features, not features, superpowers for the GM, then hey, might want to have a look at TABYLTOP. Like an in-game clock, quick and easy character creation that just involves copy and pasting some info from your sheet, a program that takes notes for you, filters to make your face on camera, on stream or whatever be themed around your character, and so much more. And this VTT has all of this, and it's still being developed. I truly feel like I'm introducing you to something game-changing. At a small point, the website doesn't look like it hasn't been updated since 2002. Some of you will get what I mean. If you want to help making running the game simpler and more fun with what I know is going to be one of the best VTTs out there, you can click the link in the description to follow TABYLTOP on their socials and their Kickstarter page to make this all happen. Please give TABYLTOP your love because they are truly making strides towards improving your games and, may I say, the whole TTRPG hobby as a whole. And now, let's move on to the next step. Step 3. Identify the scare. This is a bit of a fun portion of the video for me. So, very recently, my campaign featured a scare so effective that a player messaged me in the middle of the night to tell me they had an intense nightmare about the session. And why? Because I had focused on the kind of scare I was showing. And as mentioned before, this session was at a busy game store, and I say that to give you hope that you can make scary sessions, even at game stores, but also To bring up this tip, if a player is scared, then asks you not to include that scare anymore, don't keep using it because you found out what is so scary that it will give your players nightmares. I plan on no longer using spiders because I was asked not to do so by that player. But now that you're not just torturing people because you're a sadist and you're doing it to bring fun, if you know what your players fear, then you can play on that. The types of scare are horror, terror, yes, those are different things, and gross out. Ew. Horror is where you as a viewer, or player, or reader, or whatever, experiences something scary and is scared. Simple as that. Core examples of this would be The Ritual, Train to Busan, or, spoilers, Wreck. More specifically, its ending. Meanwhile, terror, my favourite kind of scare, is when something plays with your imagination and makes you feel creeped out. If horror is seeing something scary, then terror is when nothing has happened. Yet. Whether that's fog, noises of unknown origin, the dark, or catching a stranger staring at you, are perfect examples. And filmic examples of this would be Skinamarink, Lake Mungo, Incantation, or my favourite, Creep. And gross out is when you're grossed out. Core examples of this would be the movies Slither, The Fly, and Society. Not the joke, I mean. These have focal elements of alien leeches, insects, gore, and body grotesquerie. Once you know that, the three kinds of scare, let me tell you what I think are the most fitting horror genres for TTRPGs. Bit out of left field, the slasher movie is the unsung gem at the table, and the perfect example is Predator. Just imagine it. Low-level PCs being hunted by an incredibly dangerous monster that stalks but is never seen. This builds tension and paranoia and causes the player to feel like they can never rest. Are we being watched? Is it leaving these skin trophies here to toy with us? What if it catches us? After recovering from COVID-19 and being whiter than a ghoul, I tell you that the next genre is supernatural horror. Strange happenings are intriguing and spooky. It's an easy sell. Ghosts and most undead are my favourite things because they inherently have a story. And mystery. There is a spooky woman dressed in black. Why does she linger? Who is she? And why is she strangling me? And finally, cosmic horror is the king of tabletop horror because if you look at a film like The Void, for example, people think cosmic horror is gross tentacles and otherworldly body horror, which is fun to include. However, cosmic horror is truly embodied by the concept of the fear of the unknown. Something so alien that the players don't know, or perhaps can't know, is horrific, and it's once again playing on the idea of history and mystery. That's step 4, by the way. So what do I mean by history and mystery? Apart from them both rhyming, which is fun, it's what I like to say to summarise the idea of anything having depth. And when we're talking horror, my little hobnobs, it makes something feel real. And when the monster is real to the players, it can scare them. The focus of your horror, the scary monster, needs a story, a want, and a strange method of achieving its wants. That's the history. And once you have that, you need to drip feed the players information bit by bit. And that's the mystery. It sounds almost too simple, but seriously, give this a go. Pick out or think up a creepy creature, then ask, what is its backstory? What does it want, and what is the creepy way in which it achieves its wants? Then, the mystery, aka giving your players information bit by bit. Once you've answered those previous questions, assemble this information. What the creature was before, the backstory you made previously, its first sighting, other people's accounts on the creature, and what it's been doing lately. Once you have that info, consider how you present your clues. You might immediately think personal accounts, like asking people, but you're probably wrong and stupid. So, I would say if you're going to do that, make sure that the person knows very little. Because if this witness knows a lot, but he's being all coy and mysterious about giving info, the players are going to drag that info out of them with relentless questioning, like Columbo, just one more thing, or violence. And then the players know all the information, which kills the mystery dead. Keep your monster reveals minimal, because the less you see a creature, the scarier it is. Check out The Ritual for this example, because once the players are familiar with a creature, it's not scary anymore. The first time a player envisions a skeleton rising up the ground, that's terrifying. Then once you get over the age of 10 and you've seen it in every single game, every single TTRPG, and every movie, it's not scary. Straight up, the most spooky clues are things like notes. Just type out small clips of journals. If the setting allows it, maybe the players will find recorded video that you describe. Both types of clues give hints, and the players can't keep questioning it. And the fun part is, you can decide where the players find these clues. Perhaps one is found in the home of a mutilated lumberjack who gives small day-to-day accounts of seeing something in the woods. Think of a time that you were terrified by an analog horror series, a good horror movie, or a horror game like Amnesia, for example. These things will spoon-feed you bits of information with notes and perfectly planned snippets of information to encapsulate you. But just, step back. Why am I even telling you to keep your players locked in a constant state of paranoia? Am I some kind of monster? Well, the scariest parts of Call of Cthulhu sessions that I've run have been when the players felt lacking in info. In one game, the players were in a dark cave, and a being that could not be seen was in the cave with them. They searched for answers in different ways, and only found minor information. In fact, the session was over not when they defeated this monster, but when they sealed the cave to, hopefully, stop it from escaping. And after that session, when I kissed the homies goodbye, I had a player say to me by a text that he was scared of the dark the whole week after that session. Also, just to include this, time is an effective tool, because when something tense happens, time pressure needs to be applied. They need to act now. And also included in time, when you space out your clues with slower reveals and keep your players guessing, suddenly this powerful wizard or fighter or barbarian is stripped of all their power, as the pressure to solve the mystery and survive is placed on the player, not their character. Your axe can't solve this mystery. A mystery is unkillable. In fact, when you start to kill off the evidence, the mystery only becomes much worse. Let's do an example of all of this advice. As an example, maybe you take an existing being and give it a unique mystery. The town is suffering from a string of disappearances, and there are very few accounts about it. The first sighting of something strange was an account from someone that wasn't believed. They saw a lumbering figure dragging a woman screaming into the forest, but they have no details about the looks or anything beyond this creature's height. And the players go to the homes of the victims, whose journals describe how they've been hearing scraping on the stone walls outside. And the last pages always say that if they hear it again, they're going to grab their sword from work and go check it out. Then after days of searching, only finding a destroyed corpse of someone who managed to fight back a little bit and bloody drag marks, the players finally fall into the den of some creature. Looking up, they realise they're trapped in this hole. They've fallen into this pile of corpses of people who have been messily torn in half. Medicine checks reveal that the bodies were mutilated before the person died. Walking the halls, seeing more signs of horrific torture going on here. The players find a bone claw in all of its horrific bulk, playing with the corpses of who framed it in life. Because all of these victims were members of the guard who took part in the person's death. They were framed and wrongfully tortured on the stretching rack, its torturally stretched form, and long limbs being the result of a horrific pain it endured. And now, with the creature's vengeance sufficiently quenched,
it can't have any witnesses report its actual crimes.
My thesis for this video truly is, keep your scares and your information rare, because rare scares are impactful, and when they're not around, you leave your players alone with their imagination. You're not trying for cheap jump scares, or getting your players to just witness you describe something gory and scary and over the top. You're trying to give them just enough to keep them unsure and paranoid. Tension, paranoia, history, and mystery. Thank you for watching, you filthy animal, and now, here is what I want you to do. Tell me, what is the scariest thing that's ever happened at the table? Interpret that however you want. And if you beautiful people want to directly support me, you can click the link in the description to check out one of my 2 classes. They're super fun and can be very spooky. perfect slasher PCs and NPCs. Don't forget to check out Tabletop and check out the video on screen to see some more light-hearted tips to make your sessions more fun. See you next Saturday for something very special.